There was a small village nestled beside a wide river, known for its peaceful life and quiet people. Nothing unusual ever happened there until she arrived. No one knew her real name. She came from nowhere, carrying only a woven bag and a silver anklet that rang softly with every step. She didn't speak much, but when she did, her voice was soft like smoke, faint, drifting, but unforgettable. Her skin was smooth as oil, her hair thick like the night sky, and her eyes held stories no one wanted to hear. The men in the village noticed her first. Of course they did. She didn't dress like the women there. Her clothes clung too tightly to her waist, too loosely to her shoulders. She walked slowly, like time belonged to her. Within weeks, men began finding excuses to talk to her, offering to carry water, to help her fix her roof, to bring her food she never asked for. And within months, she had slept with 3 of them. Then the first one disappeared. His name was Musa, a fisherman. Strong, healthy, married with 2 children. One morning, he left for the river and never returned. His boat was found drifting, nets tangled, but no body. People said maybe a crocodile got him. Maybe he drowned. His wife said he never went near the water after dark. A few weeks later, the second man vanished. This time it was a tailor named Kofi. He had been seen leaving her house late at night. The next day, gone. His shop abandoned. His mother claimed she dreamed of him screaming in a place full of smoke. By the time the third man vanished, no one thought it was coincidence. And still, she smiled. She sat outside her hut, grinding herbs in a bowl, humming old songs no one recognized. When women passed by, they turned their faces. When children saw her, they crossed the road. But the men? They kept looking, because somehow, despite everything, they couldn't help themselves. After the third man vanished, the village changed. People stopped talking in the open. Conversations moved to corners, behind doors, between whispers. The men walked straighter, spoke less. The women grew more guarded, but no one dared confront her. Because despite the fear, she had never raised her voice, never threatened, never even denied anything. The chief summoned a meeting with the elders. They sat beneath the baobab tree, brows furrowed, hands clasped tightly. "This woman," one of them said, "she's not like us. Maybe she's not even human." Another added, "If she was a witch, would she hide it? Or is this her warning?" But no decisions were made, no action taken, because fear is a strange thing. It can silence even the powerful. Then came the fourth man. His name was Ajay, young, proud, full of laughter. He said the rumors were nothing, that people were just scared of a beautiful woman who didn't beg for attention. He said he wasn't like the others, that he could handle himself. Everyone warned him. His sister cried. His uncle told him to stay away, but Ajay only laughed. "She's just lonely," he said. "I'll talk to her. That's all." The next morning, his bed was empty. This time, the village did not search. They had already seen this story before, but something was different now. The night after Ajay vanished, a little boy wandered too close to her house. He wasn't trying to cause trouble. He had simply lost his ball. When he came back, He told his mother what he saw. She was standing there, he said, in the dark, but not alone. His mother asked, "Who was with her?" The boy whispered, "The man without eyes. He was standing behind her, and he was smiling." That boy's words spread like fire. No one admitted they believed him, not openly, but the way people moved changed. The way they looked at her changed. Even the wind felt different. It didn't just blow anymore. It whispered. At the market, silence followed her like a second shadow. Sellers turned their eyes. No one dared hand her money directly. Coins were left on the table. And yet she never complained, never reacted. She simply moved through them like smoke, unbothered, untouchable. But the boy had seen something, and he wasn't the last. A few nights later, an old woman who lived near the river claimed she saw Ajay, at least something shaped like him. He stood just outside the woman's hut, soaked in moonlight, unmoving. She called his name. He turned. His face was pale, hollow, stretched like wax. No eyes, just smooth, empty skin where they used to be. And then, slowly, he walked backward into the forest without making a sound. The old woman didn't sleep again for 3 nights. People began to believe something worse than death had happened to the missing men. Something older than curses and more cruel than murder. The kind of thing the ancestors only spoke of in warnings. Whispers about soul eaters, spirit brides, and women who walked with the dead. And yet, despite it all, one man dared again. His name was Kwame, a traveler from a distant village who didn't know the stories. He saw her one evening, alone, calm, sitting beneath the moon, and mistook mystery for beauty. He visited her that night. He was never seen again. But this time, something strange happened. The next morning, there was a smell in the air, sweet and sharp, like rotting flowers. The wind didn't blow. The birds didn't sing. And outside her house, carved into the dirt with something clawed and deep, was a single word. Enough. The word scratched into the dirt shook the village in a way no disappearance had. Enough. No one knew who or what had written it, but it was clear. The forest was speaking, or worse, something inside her was. The chief, who had remained silent through every vanishing, called for an emergency council. The elders gathered in the shrine where the air was thick with incense and fear. Their voices trembled as they spoke of old legends, of women possessed by spirits, of demons who wore human faces, of entities who fed not on flesh, but on energy, desire, and memory. "We waited too long," one of them said. "She is no longer just a woman. She's something else now." But even as they debated what to do, none dared speak of violence. No one wanted to be the one who touched her. That was the nature of true fear. It didn't provoke attack. It paralyzed. Meanwhile, she remained untouched. She still walked through the market. She still bathed in the river. She still sat by her door, humming tunes that didn't belong to any known tribe. But something had changed. Her shadow. It no longer moved with her. A farmer swore he saw it lag behind, pausing even when she kept walking. Others claimed they saw it flicker in the wrong direction or stretch longer than any sun could justify. Children no longer played on her side of the village. Then one day, a dog went missing. Not just missing, ripped apart. No blood, just fur and bone and silence. That night, the chief made a decision. He would send for the old one, the hermit who lived deep in the hills, the one who knew the forgotten words, who could speak to the wind and read bones like scrolls. He hadn't stepped into the village in 20 years, but now they had no choice. As messengers prepared to leave, the sky turned black. Not cloudy, not rainy, just black, as if the sun itself had turned its face away. The messengers never reached the hills. They left at dawn, 3 of them on foot, carrying palm wine and goat meat as gifts for the old one. But by nightfall, only one returned, running, breathless, eyes wide like he'd seen the end of the world. "They never made it past the river," he said, shaking. "The water, it rose from nowhere. It swallowed the path, then it whispered their names." No one spoke, not even the chief, because the message was clear. The forest didn't want help coming. Whatever had rooted itself in the village wanted to stay. That night, the wind howled louder than it had in decades. The trees bent, not from force, but like they were bowing to something walking beneath them. Doors were bolted. Fires kept low. Children told to sleep under their mother's arms. And she walked, barefoot, calm, through the center of the village. Her eyes fixed forward, but her lips moving silently. Some said she was praying. Others said she was calling names. Behind her, her shadow now moved on its own, taller than her, wider, flickering like smoke. She stopped in front of the shrine. There, etched into the wood with something sharper than metal, were the names of every man who had vanished. One by one, letter by letter, they glowed faintly under the moonlight. And then, something impossible happened. From the forest, shapes began to emerge. Slow, broken, but walking. The villagers watched in horror as figures appeared. Men, barefoot, clothes torn, skin pale, mouths shut, eyes gone. They walked through the village, one by one, each stopping in front of her. They did not speak. They only knelt, as if returning to their queen. She looked at them with no joy, no grief, no rage, only silence. And then she spoke. "I didn't call them." Everyone heard it. Her voice was not loud, but it was everywhere. "I didn't call them," she said again. "They came on their own because they remember." She turned toward the villagers. "And soon, so will you." The village stood frozen. 20 eyes, 20 faces, 20 bodies that should have been bones beneath the ground. now kneeling in silence like statues made of air and memory. The men who had vanished were back, but they weren't alive. Not fully. Not anymore. One of the elders collapsed. Another began praying out loud, whispering every name of every spirit he could recall from the old ways. The children were pulled inside homes. Doors slammed. Lamps were blown out. But it was too late. The veil had lifted. No one could unsee it now. She stood at the center of it all, still barefoot, her arms raised not in power, not in violence, but in surrender. The wind circled her like a crown, her hair floating weightless, her eyes locked on the shrine where the name still glowed. "You fed them to me," she said quietly. A few villagers gasped. "You sent them to me," she continued. "Even when the first one disappeared, you said nothing. You let them come. You watched, you whispered, and you wanted to believe the curse lived in me." She took one step forward. "But the curse wasn't me. It was yours. I just wore it better." Her shadow now reached across the entire square, twisting like roots beneath the earth. From within it, whispers began to rise, names, memories, fragments of conversations long buried. And then the men spoke, not with mouths, but with breath. Each of them exhaled the same word at once: truth. The wind howled. The sky cracked with a deep sound. Not thunder, but something older, something like the earth remembering. And that's when the villagers saw it. Behind her, where the ground had once been hard and dry, something was growing, fast, wild, black like ink. A tree, a tall, spindly tree with bark that pulsed like skin and branches that reached not toward the sun, but down into the soil. Its roots spread wide, curling beneath the feet of those watching. And just like that, they understood. She wasn't the curse. She was the mirror. And what they were seeing now was themselves. The tree kept growing. Its roots stretched like veins beneath the feet of every villager, pulsing with something warm and alive. No one dared move. No one dared speak. Even the wind had gone still, as if the air itself was holding its breath. Then she stepped forward, not fast, not slow, just steady. Every movement felt deliberate, like she wasn't walking, like the earth was carrying her. She stopped in front of the elder who'd called her a curse. He was shaking, lips trembling, eyes wide with guilt. "You told them I was danger," she said. He tried to respond, but his voice cracked. "You said I was evil," she continued, "but you never asked where I came from. You never asked what happened to me before I arrived." The villagers watched, ashamed, afraid, frozen. Every word hit like thunder, but she wasn't shouting. She didn't need to. "I ran," she said, "from a place where men took what they wanted, where no one listened, where I was buried once already. Not in soil, but in silence." She turned slowly, her eyes scanning the crowd. "When I arrived here, all I wanted was to be left alone. But your men came, again, and again, and again." Whispers rose from the shadows of the vanished men. Their bodies didn't move, but their breath, cold, ghostly, spoke names. Musa, Kofi, Ajay, Kwame. Each name a story. Each name a weight. The village had never known the full truth. They only saw men vanish, but never asked why they were there in the first place. Some of them were kind, she said. Some of them weren't, but they all chose to enter. I didn't choose for them. The wind picked up again, but it wasn't angry. It was cleansing. And then she spoke the words that turned the entire village cold. I didn't kill them. She pointed toward the tree behind her. The forest did. No one moved. The forest stood silent behind her, tall and watching. The tree, black, alive, breathing, had stopped growing. Its branches curled toward the village like fingers waiting to be acknowledged. The men who had vanished remained still, their presence undeniable. And she no longer seemed human, not monstrous, not divine, just something else. Older, wiser, changed. The villagers looked at her, not with hatred now, not even fear, but with the heavy shame of truth, because they knew, deep down they had always known, that what had happened wasn't magic. It wasn't a curse. It was a result of silence, of pride, of pretending not to see what was happening right in front of them. The elder stepped forward, knees weak, voice low. "What are you?" he asked. She looked at him, her gaze calm. "I'm what happens when no one listens," she said. "I'm what grows in silence." And with that, she turned to the tree. The men behind her followed. Slowly, they stepped into the roots, into the earth, into the dark. One by one, they vanished, swallowed not by death, but by something deeper, a reckoning, a return. She was the last to go. Her hand touched the bark, and for a moment, the tree pulsed with gold instead of black. The whispers stopped. The wind held still. Then nothing. Just the tree. Just silence. In the days that followed, the village changed. People spoke softer, looked each other in the eye, asked questions before making judgments. The shrine was torn down. The names were never erased, but they were honored instead. And that house, her house, was left untouched. The door still open, the wind still humming. They say if you pass it at night, you'll hear her voice, calm, quiet, somewhere between song and warning. And if a man ever thinks to knock, the shadows stretch long before his hand reaches the door. They call her many things now, spirit, witch, saint. But all the elders agree on one thing: she didn't kill them. She woke something that had been sleeping for too long. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you did, please give the video a like. Share what you learned in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more enchanting tales like this one. Thank you for being part of the journey.